That's gonna be another. That's gonna be really annoying.
Yeah, might have to ask him to mute unless he's talking.
Yeah, 6 o'clock. All right, 6 p.m. Regular city council meeting Monday, January 12th. Either called order here and we'll do roll call. Mike Netland. Present. Bill Hodge. Joey Topper. Here. Jody Bjornson's here. Keith Warning is absent. Brett Gagnon Pollock's here. City clerk. We'll move on to the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, real quick here, since this is kind of an odd meeting with so many remotes. All votes will be by roll call, so everybody's clear, so everybody knows. We don't get three at once and not know who said what. And that's, this meeting is legal pursuant to Minnesota statute 13D.021. Quorum is present. Next up is the approval of the agenda. Anybody have anything on that? We will.
I just have one thing. Just a request. Brett, would you please talk to Heather and ask her to have the date column appear on all of her sheets?
Yes, Mike, make a note of that right now.
Well, we will be tabling item E under new business, the LELS labor contract. It's not back from the attorney yet. It'll be tabled to the next meeting. There's nothing else. Take a motion to approve the agenda.
Don't move, Jody.
Going. I get a second.
Second.
All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
We'll do a roll call from now on. Public forum, we have anybody signed up on the sheet?
No.
Yep. All right, then we got the consent agenda, the December 8th, 2025 regular meeting minutes. December 8th, 2025 truth and taxation meeting minutes. That one had the incorrect heading on it. It's under special organizational, but it should be truth and taxation. January 5th, 26 organizational meeting minutes. Police report, liquor store report. City employee Scotty Nordbeck, successful eval and step increase. Campground beach and building maintenance reports. Public works. Bills and budget year to date and adjustment report. Those are all on the consent agenda. Does anybody have anything they want to pull out for special consideration?
Move approval of the agenda.
All right, Mike, approve the agenda. We get a second? Bill? Bill, did you second?
Second.
Okay. All right, so we know Mike and Bill are in approval. Derwin, you approve?
Yes, they do.
And I approve, so it's 4-0, move the consent agenda. No public hearings. No commission minutes,
Not yet.
so we're into new business. And that would be the
Chris Ron.
first one. Come and bring us good news, good news.
I printed up some hard copies of the report. I know it's in the packet too. But the print up I have has large exhibits with it too, so that helps us see all the detail of the project going on there. So yeah, tonight we were looking at the presentation of the report. I'm not going to read through the whole document. I know maybe you've had your eyes on it as it's been in the packet. If we want to start with discussion, I can certainly entertain questions from council members in regards to the report. I know it's been looked at for a couple of years now as far as what the project entails, so I don't want to reiterate all that tonight if I don't have to. As you can tell, I'm losing my voice or trying to get my voice back actually, so.
So on the Second Street, on the west side of the highway, that's only water main on Second Street in Balsam?
Yes. Yep. Then there's sewer in that alley.
Yep.
Back behind there. Yep. But yeah, just water main and street improvements in that area.
And are there, do you know if some of the trees have to come down to get that 24-foot?
Oh. More so the utilities in place, trenching and service lines. We'll try to save what we can, but you know, we don't want to kill something off and 2 years later we're dealing with the big old dead tree that.
Well, I think some of those big ones are actually gonna be in the road bed when we get a 24 feet. What's the year?
Yeah.
Then on that beach parking lot, how big do we have that? Is it only a 60-foot?
70 feet,
70 feet.
right around 70 feet if I recall right. Yeah.
We're going, basically what's existing there now, we're just going to.
That gives you a good 20 feet on either edge for a parking stall. And then 30 feet in the middle for, like we talked about, some of those bigger vans backing up and so forth.
Yeah.
I think I got one question.
Yeah.
Related to the lake frontage, sewer and water projects. And I know you promoted putting in these box containment units to catch all the sediment and debris before they migrate into Spirit Lake. Do you know what the yearly maintenance on those would be? I know you have to come in and suck everything out of them, but typically they perform that function yearly. What would the added cost be to the city of Monaga?
You know,
Yeah, Ron, can you talk about this, please?
It's gonna add hourly. Each one of them take around 1.5 to 2 hours on the big ones. Are these the smaller ones compared to single chambers, right?
they're gonna be 48-inch diameter.
Okay, so they're gonna be the single. Okay.
Yeah.
So these ones will probably be quicker. The other ones we've been doing on twice a year and it's been coming to $6,000
For all of them?
for, well, the storm and plus our lift stations. So we do 5 lift stations and then the storms.
Are you anticipating, Ron, that you'd be doing these 2 times a year, 3 times a year, or what?
We kind of look at the settlement in them. So if they're catching more sand, then we'll do them twice. But it all depends on how much is in them. So we inspect them to make sure before the sucking machine comes, bike comes and gets rid of it. So it's one of them type things we'll keep on inspecting each one.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, the velocity of the water spilling into the box containment units, that'll actually slow down the water as it migrates through the storm pipe into Spirit Lake, into that catch area. Is that what that's what I remember you saying. Is that true?
That is one of the concepts. You know, we're just getting into the design of the storm sewer as we talk. What we have laid out is storm catch units, so a catch basin that has, say, a 2 to 3 foot sump below the pipe outlet. So that's where you catch in that sump, the sediment that comes from the storm runoff. It builds up, the water builds up in that column in the manhole, I'll call it catch basin. And then enters into a perforated pipe that has rock around it.
Leach
that-
line.
That helps leach out the stormwater into the surrounding sandy soils. You guys have perfect sandy soils for that opportunity. So we have those strategically placed, especially down by the lake. Right at the intersection is basically our low point. We're going to use the grassy area to the west side of the church as an overflow stormwater catch. So, if the system ever has the opportunity to have a 4-inch rain in 20 minutes, it's not going to handle it. Nothing we design can handle something like that. So that's where it would flow into the grass and have another outlet pipe placed in that grassy area that then takes everything to the lake.
After that catch basin. Same as it is.
That's right, yep. Yeah, it's hard to explain. Once we get full design done on it, we'll definitely get that in front of everybody so that we have an understanding of what we're trying to do there.
So those 2 catch basins will just have leach lines, or they will still have an overflow that goes to that sediment pond?
So there's actually sets of catch basins. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sets of catch basins that then have pipes between them. And that's where you're leaching in all those areas. Now, if the system becomes overrid with a large event, that's where it then flows over into that grass area.
Oh,
Then the grass area is drained by an outlet to the lake.
One last question on that, that area over by the lake. Now, my understanding is the curb on the lake side is gonna be accessible by vehicles to drive up and over for parking for, let's say, for boats and trailers and everything else related to that, landing area. Is there gonna be enough room for 2 or 3 vehicles, 5 or 6, or what are you anticipating as far as parking slots for vehicles and boat trailers?
Which leg of which street are you thinking?
Well, it would be everything to the west of the existing boat landing going down into Spirit Lake.
Okay,
Cause right now, every once in a while, we'll see anywhere from maybe 2 to 5 vehicles with trailers sitting in that area. I just wanna make sure we're accommodating people that wanna bring a boat and have access onto Spirit Lake.
I have to guess without knowing a measurement of the street right offhand. I would say we're looking at about 8 parking units. That's a truck with a trailer on it, so,
Okay, that's perfect. Okay, that's what I needed. Thank you.
okay.
They're adding parking also on Folsom too.
Yep.
Anybody else have any questions for Chris?
And one more question, Jody, and this is related to the lumberyard and the apartment or the office complex on to the south of the lumberyard. I know, Chris, you had mentioned that's an 80-foot street right away there. Do you anticipate do you anticipate using the full 80 feet as you come up onto Highway 71?
No, that would be quite a bit of street with, what we have there. We show it as 44 feet curb line to curb line. And then on one side, we do have a sidewalk, probably a 5 or 6 foot sidewalk. So, there's about 50 feet that's being used. So you still have another 30 feet that's, a buffer up to the property lines on either side. And we will be replacing the concrete parking in front of the lumberyard because we're impacting that elevation wise and make sure that we have proper drainage. Once we got into it, it's just a small area of concrete. We decided we're going to have to replace it anyway. So.
Any water flowing from that hill towards 71, that'll be directed out onto 71 and be caught in storm sewers out there, basically.
Yeah.
Storm catch basins.
Yep, right on the radiuses of the highway. coming down the hill, the radius corners have catch basins at those points, so,
At those intersections, okay,
yep, and then that goes into the silt chamber. That is,
that's all I got, Jody.
But now, looking at this, our setback off of 71, are we strategically doing that so that when they do 71 in 28, we're in the right spot with our new pavement?
yes, in a way, you know,
Pretty close anyway.
so keep in mind, like, let's look at Second there where it comes up to the highway. We're advancing water main and dead ending it
Right,
until the 2028.
so I can,
Yeah, so we'll have to dig down. We'll get that pipe to a point close enough to not get into the highway and have to do permitting and all that with traffic control with MinDOT. But then during MinDOT's project, we'll have to probably tear up some new pavement that we put down under this project just to make that
keep
connection.
it time.
It happens.
But do you have to drill under any of these, or are we gonna be able to
No drilling.
do it all during the 28? We'll do the connection all during the 28 project.
That's correct, yeah.
Anybody else have anything for Chris?
I got one that impacts me a little bit on west on Highway 87, the new water line that's gonna replace the cast iron. Based on what's gonna be replaced and whatnot, and I know this isn't gonna be a fix-all, but do you think the sediments or the slough off that's coming off that cast iron will improve the water quality for everybody further west on Highway 87? Yes or no?
All I can say is yes. Yep. I think Ron would agree too. Number one, we're gonna have a bigger pipe in there. It's not gonna have any deposits left in it. It's new pipe. And with that newer pipe, bigger pipe, you have more flushing capabilities out your hydrants. So that'll help Ron keep that clean, you know, periodically when the city flushes, so. Anything else to add?
Is that going to a 10-inch or what?
Yes, yep. Yeah, right now it's a 6-inch and we're going to a 10-inch.
Are you putting in temporary water service to maintain water to all those houses, basically?
During construction, yeah, we have to
Okay,
maintain. Unless it's just a short shutdown, you know, if the contractor can make things happen and have a 4-hour shutdown. And we tell them to let all the residents that are impacted know, then we allow that. But if it's gonna be more than 4 hours or even, you know, 6 hours could be questionable. But we then make sure that they have temporary water in place.
okay.
The other part of tonight's meeting is a resolution. You guys will probably act on that later. That's part of the assessment process, the 429 assessment process, so. And with that, we have planned for the public hearing for the assessment process to be on February 8th. 8th? What's it 8th? 9th, excuse me, February 9th.
I have the resolution.
You got it?
So with this resolution, if we approve it tonight, is there still room for a hard stop in this project if the financing falls through?
Yeah, if at any point you guys want to stop, you know, the sequence of the process is from here, we go into plans and specs and we keep, you know, the 429 schedule going with the assessment process. You get to a point where you take bids. From those bids, knowing those bids amount and supplying that back to the funding agency. The funding agency then makes their determination as far as what funding is coming the city's direction. Remember, we know that just funding for the water main is available. Nothing for the sewer is available to the city. And then at that point, you can either say thumbs up, move ahead, or you can tell the bidders that you're not accepting any bids or basically not doing the project, so. But that would be your stop point.
You know how much cost we would have to you at that point? Relative,
Offhand, that
just the design work,
it'd be the design work that we have into it.
and then we would own that at that point. Anyways,
Yep. And one thing, I know I talked to Brett earlier about, the design fees that we put in place. This was back in 2023. With a couple factors, the project's been pushed now 3 years.
now.
I wish I could agree with you. The project being pushed 3 years before we actually start, design. Along with, the city has added portions to the project, Second Street, First Street, a few odds and ends here and there, so. We need to, advance to the city, what we feel we need to pick up the excess that we have in place here. So
We'll have that for the meeting on the 9th. You'd have that information.
I hope so. Maybe. Yeah, I'll definitely try to get it to Brett before then even, so you guys can review it.
All right, then we should be able to move on to the resolution.
All right, this is resolution 2026-03, resolution receiving feasibility report and calling hearing on improvement. Whereas pursuant to resolution of the city of the council adopted December 8th, 2025, a report has been prepared by Alteg Engineers, Inc. with reference to the proposed street municipality utility improvements of Second Street Northwest from Evergreen Avenue to Cottonwood Avenue, Second Street Northwest from Cottonwood Avenue to Aspen Avenue, Balsam Avenue Northwest from Second Street Northwest to First Street Northwest, Second Street Northeast from Aspen Avenue to Cedar Avenue Northeast, Cedar Avenue Northeast from Second Street Northeast to Main Street East, Birch Avenue Northeast from Second Street Northeast to First Street Northeast, Balsam Avenue Southwest from Main Street West to Second Street Southwest, First Street Southwest from Main Street West to Balsam Avenue Southwest, First Street Southwest from Balsam Avenue Southwest to Aspen Avenue, Second Street Southwest from Balsam Avenue to Southwest Aspen Avenue, Public Beach Parking Area, alley between Balsam Avenue Northwest and Aspen, Main Street West to Second Street Northwest, alley between Aspen and Birch Avenue Northeast, Main Street East to Second Street Northeast, backyard sanitary sewer extension 200 feet east of Cottonwood Northwest, water main replacement on Highway 87, Fir Avenue Northwest to Juniper Northwest. And this report was received by the council on January 12th, 2026. And whereas the report provides information regarding whether the proposed improvement is necessary, cost-effective, and feasible, whether it should be made as proposed or in connection with some other improvement, an estimated cost of the improvement as recommended, and a description of the methodology used to calculate individual assessments for affected parcels. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of Monaga, Minnesota. 1, the council will consider the improvement of such streets in accordance with the report and assessment of abutting property for all of the cost of the improvement pursuant to Minnesota statutes, chapter 429, at an estimated total cost of the improvement of $3,941,000. 2, a public hearing shall be held on such proposed improvement on the 9th of February, 2026 at the Monaga City Hall at 6:01 p.m. and the city clerk treasurer shall give mailed and published notice of such hearing and improvement as required by law. Adopted by the council this the 12th day of January, 2026.
All right, I'll do roll call on that. Bill, how do you vote? Approve. Derwin,
In favor of?
Mike,
I approve.
and I approve, so. 4-0, moving ahead.
I did want to bring up, Darren asked about the motel deal over there. I talked to Wayne Ross about it. And on the north side there, there's 2 clean out pipes because they had to fix the clay pipe that had collapsed. So they replaced it all with PVC, put 2 clean outs to be able to go to the motel. and to be able to go to the one service to head to the main.
So there is no septic.
There is no septic tank there.
Good with that, Darren?
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, it's good to know. We weren't sure if there had been a drain field or something put in there to, to accommodate the year that froze up or something, but if you did the investigation on it, Ron, and everything is as you said, that's good information. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
And next up, we've got the 2026 fee schedule. Looks like the changes were highlighted in yellow.
Yes, the changes were highlighted in yellow. The fire department did give us these updated fees. I know they did discuss this, I want to say in November. Also, the state testing fee, that's what the state is telling us the fee is, and so that's what it is. Otherwise, no other changes.
Is that monthly on everyone's bill?
Yes, it is.
Any questions on the fee schedule?
Just a quick question, Brett. Was that fee schedule, was that shared and put into the contracts, or the fee schedule is what it is, and whatever the appropriate fee schedules are, it's a given related to the contract, right?
Oh, for the fire
For the
contracts?
townships, yeah, for the
Oh.
townships, so the townships know that their residents know that the township officials are aware of the new fee schedule. I don't know if it was built into that, or do you have to give notice to the township representatives?
I mean, there's no specific requirement as to who we notify, but I can most certainly send it out to them and let them know the change.
I think that'd be transparent and helpful for them.
Absolutely. It will go out, well, tomorrow.
Anything else on the fee schedule? Otherwise, I'll do roll call. Bill, how do you vote? Darren,
In favor of,
Mike?
Approved.
I approve. 4-0, fee schedule move forward.
Okay, you want me to read the resolution? Yep. Okay. Right, this is resolution number 2026-02. The resolution adopting the City of Monaga fee schedule. Whereas the City Council of the City of Monaga has the authority to establish fees for service, permits, licenses, and activities provided by the city. And whereas the City Council finds it necessary to periodically review and adopt a comprehensive schedule of such fees. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Monaga, Minnesota as follows. The fee schedule attached hereto is hereby adopted and approved. The adopted fee schedule shall be effective immediately, 12 January 2026, and shall remain in effect until amended or repealed by resolution of the City Council. All prior fee schedules or fee provisions inconsistent with this resolution are hereby repealed. Adopted by the City Council of the City of Monaga, Minnesota, this the 12th day of January 2026.
All right, next up, we've got excess property from the fire department. I'll read that resolution, Brooke.
Yes, this is resolution 2026-01, resolution authorizing disposal of surplus fire department equipment. Whereas the fire department has identified certain equipment and materials that are obsolete, non-functional, or no longer of use to the city, and whereas the City Council determines that these items have negligible or no resale value due to their condition and specialized nature. Scott Revolve Air Charge Station with compressor, serial number 10J1692. Tempest Power Blower, serial number 1912780. Valor Fan, serial number 4020. Outdated turnout gear, obsolete, expired personal protective equipment. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council hereby declares the listed equipment as surplus property and authorizes the fire department to dispose of the items by scrapping, recycling, or other appropriate means in accordance with Minnesota state law and city policy. Be it further resolved that any proceeds received from disposal shall be remitted to the city for processing in accordance with city financial procedures adopted by the city council of the city of Monaga, Minnesota, this the 12th day of January, 2026.
I'd make that motion, Jody.
Okay, Thurman. You get a second?
Second.
Bill? Any discussion? All right, we know how Deborah and Bill are voting. Mike, what's your vote?
Yay.
Okay, and I vote yay. Is this 4-0? All right, next up, we have David Lake Assessment and Penalty Concern.
David, you are on the agenda. You feel free to sit up here. Oh,
Howdy.
I didn't, you guys have the numbers correct that we talked about?
Yep.
I bought that a lot on 722 Cedar Avenue. I own 722 Cedar Avenue Southeast. I bought 726. Sold it. And there was assessments on it when I bought it. I understand that. But I went in there in September of this year. I made an attempt here back when I sold some property back in 22 or 23, trying to get this resolved. And I went down to the county and the county couldn't talk to me. Then I came up here, I talked to them about it, and they said it has to be paid through Monaga. And it was just kind of back and forth where people didn't really know what was going on with it. And ultimately I ended up paying it. I went in there in September, I believe, and I wrote a check for about $8,640. It was about it's something like that. You got the numbers in front of you there. And I said, is this paid in full? And they said, yes, it was. Now, in October, I found another tax statement came to me on this property, and they wanted an additional $900 and some. And I came in and I talked to them, and basically they said at the county level, they said that this was all paid up, and that was left over that I owed. The stuff that was there was all the penalties that hadn't been paid up to this point. And I don't remember the exact number, but it's just shy of $7,000 that are remaining against it, if I'm not mistaken, Jody.
$6,948.55.
And I'm just hoping to try and get this thing resolved if we can. Because I did try diligently to pay these things up. And it's just that there's different council people that I talked to back in there, and then they said they couldn't take it. And Jody and we sat down together and they said, well, we do it all the time. We can do that here. We can take a payment. But
we can take payments, but not, what is it, Kelly?
We can take assessments, we cannot take property tax.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about, was just the assessments on this thing. I think originally the assessments were right around that 10,004, something like that. And when I bought it, that's why I'm just trying to get this resolved best as I can. I know the original cost was like 10,4, and now with the penalties and everything, it's going to jump it up to about 17,000.
For what we have so far, the council only has the authority. We can review the original special. We've been digging in this here for a bit. Kelly's really been putting in a lot of legwork on it. So the council's only authority is we can review the original special assessment principle to determine whether it was correctly imposed. So whatever that original 10,400 or whatever it was, we say if that was obviously that was correct at that time. We don't have the authority to waive, reduce, or forgive penalties and interest. That's the county can only deal with that kind of stuff. We can only decide whether that original was right. Any modification to penalties or interest would require the county to review it and take action. we can't, as a city council, we can't say yes. They have to say yes on that vote.
See, this is where it gets frustrating. This is where it's been frustrating to me because I'm getting different feedbacks from totally different areas. Because when I go to the county and I talk to them, well, no, I have to go back to Monaga and talk to them. Then I talked to Monaga and they said, well, they can't do that because it's at the county. That's the same thing that I'm having right now.
I mean, the city can't take any
No,
unilateral.
I'm not saying that, but see, this is where all of a sudden it gets confused. It's about as clear as mud right now as far as everything that goes. And it really is because nobody can seem to direct me one way or another. And I mean, if I have to, I'll go to the county and do the same thing that I just did here too. But it's what I'm saying is it's not getting it resolved. And that's a little frustrating to me.
But you
Hey,
would,
Brett, Jody, may I speak?
yeah, go ahead.
Brett, is there any way you can, make a phone call down to the county and just to cover us what David Lake's, issues are? To see if you can't help remedy this, cause, I can definitely feel the frustration on his part if he's getting two different stories from two different government entities. But I don't know if we want to get too involved, but at least show David that we're the courtesy of maybe making a phone call there, trying to figure out what the issue is.
Yeah, yes, Derwin, I can do that. And I think, what I'm hearing here is there's just kind of a communication issue, right? And to me, it sounds like maybe the right questions aren't being asked. So I can call down there and just say, what are the questions that Mr. Lake needs to ask to get the right answers here, good, bad, or otherwise? Yeah,
Yeah, maybe it'll help at least get to the bottom of it.
Well, to find out what's going on, I really, I bought the property with knowing that there was a $10,000 some odd change in assessments on it. I understand that and I was willing to pay that. But then all of a sudden now when all of a sudden when they come up to me and then all of a sudden I'm finding out there's almost another $7,000 against it because of, and it's no fault against my own because I've tried to pay it. But
And it's all just penalties and interest.
that's what it is right now. It's all penalties and interest.
From all the research we've done, we can't do anything with.
Well, no, and that's what I mean. I mean, it's gotta have to be at the county level. I mean, if that's the way it's gonna be, that's the way it's gonna be, but somebody's gotta wake up here because I'm sure I'm not the only person that's had these issues.
Well, I guess that's what the recommendation is, Brett, to talk to probably whoever Kelly was talking to down there and see if we can just get to the.
Well, and all you gotta do is just, when you make the phone call or something, I can come in and be there so I can hear it if you want me to. So then I can just go down and try and take care of this with one spot.
That might be the,
And that's what
Well,
we did. That's what we did when you were both in my office. I called the county and we talked to him right there. He asked all the questions at that point, but Tammy wasn't there.
Yeah, no, I know
We
that.
dealt with the
But
secretary.
even at that point, when the three of us were in that office, we made the phone call and there was even questions that were totally up in the air that you didn't know and you didn't know. And
I think part of that was because Tammy wasn't there. We had to talk to
Yes,
Missy.
and
Well-
when Tammy got back, then she sent me all the documentation.
Well, that's apparently who we'd need to talk to, would be Tammy down there. Does that work for you to have him in the same room so you both get the same answers?
yeah, I think we just need to schedule a meeting, or Mr. Lake schedule a meeting with Tammy, get into her office and then just go through it line by line.
and that's fine. That's fine. You
We'll
know,
probably solve it, or at least get to the bottom.
at
Yeah.
least part of it is like I said, I tried when I sold my property to pay these things up in the first place.
Mm.
And I'm not crying a river here, but back in 22, 23, it's been, yeah, I did, I'll admit it. I got busy doing something else at the time and it got dropped. Unfortunately, now I went to pay it in and now all of a sudden there's that much more taxes and assessment, or I think it's just assessments we're talking about is what it was against. But I mean, that's fine. I mean, like I said, just let me know when you give me a call. You got my cell phone and.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, let me call down to the county and let me see what I can facilitate.
Yeah, that's no problem. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lake.
Thanks, David.
Yeah, thanks, no.
Good night, David.
You too.
And then E was the one we tabled, so we're on to F. Utility account write-off. You want to speak to that, Brittany?
Yes, Diane discovered a few accounts here and I'll just read what I have on the action memo here. Several utility accounts currently carry delinquent balances that staff has determined are no longer collectible. They're associated with their former account holders who have either moved forward without a forwarding information or they are deceased. We have conducted reasonable follow-up efforts and determined that further collection activity is we're just going to send out a bill every month and we're going to keep getting that bill back. And then the average length of time that these accounts have remained in a delinquent status is about 2 years. So we're never going to get money away from this. They're going to continue to collect fees and we would just like to clear them off. So when the next individuals move in, they're going to start off with a clean slate.
What's the total, what's the total dollars we're talking here?
It's about $337
Was that all?
between four accounts, yeah.
Yep.
And like on the one, they've already spent $17 in postage and there's no hope of ever getting it, so that's why we have the action memo in front of us.
I would move that we would, take these delinquent water bills off the rolls and make them disappear.
I'll get a second to that. Bill? Any further discussion? All right, Derwin, obviously you vote to approve. Bill, you vote to approve. Mike, what's your vote? Approve. And I approve, 4-0.
Laura?
How's Laura?
Welcome back.
Was I gone? No.
So, before you get rolling, did I read it correctly in the paper?
No.
That Monaga is rated number 6 out of 374. I believe that's what it was.
So.
We're number 6 out of 374 from those surveys from the state.
So not like surveys from state, so we get these things all the time that are Newsweek or US News report. And of those on their reports on US News or that report, I typically haven't ever ordered the plaque that comes with it because I'm like, is it real or not? I mean, everyone has different ways of gauging it. The state has has every quarter they have they have quality measure things that come out and we're like ranked on those all the time. But this is based off of the report card. They look at it and Newsweek and US News have it. And yes, that on that report, if you look at it, you went on to Newsweek, we'd be 6 out of the
I think
state.
that's quite impressive.
It is, yeah.
I think that's very impressive for a little town like this.
Mhm.
I think you should be highly commended.
Yeah.
And the entire staff should be highly.
Yes, thank you. There is a plaque and I know that they said, and I haven't ordered it yet. I just actually got an email on it again to say, hey, do you want to? And then they're also along with it because they kind of give you a newspaper blurb thing that could be put in the newspaper. It says US News or Newsweek has,
I think that would be a good thing to do.
so I've seen it for Perham before. We've gotten it before. We've been on the, that puts us in the high performing, and that's what we are, is a high performing facility.
Kudos to the whole
Yeah.
staff. That's awesome.
Okay, so, were we on the minutes first, not the call system, right?
Call system's up first.
Call systems first, okay.
Yeah.
So I had the call system approved before, and we were going to go with, Beacon, so it was I can't think of the name of the system now. So we had approved for Beacon. But I'd like to go with Securitas, which was the other one we had, didn't have the quote for at the time because he didn't get it to me until afterwards, but I've had no communication with Beacon. And I suppose if I pushed it, I could, but I feel like if I have not had their response right now, and we're going to building project, I know what that feels like. And I know it's just a salesperson and it's technical people we'll be dealing with, but it's like, I just don't.
It's been over a month.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Okay.
And I would like this, so this one will provide the same, I mean, honestly, this has better options. It's just that it's not the same. It could have a different provider or contact person, support person that we'd have to call for tech. We wouldn't be able to use Beacon for both, but Securitas does actually have a different, they have support that works with both of our systems. So we could change our support from Beacon and it wouldn't really matter. I mean, especially a wireless system doesn't take a lot of support for someone coming out. It's usually just a call. So this system here from Securitas is, if you remember it before, it was, the other one was approved for 68,000. And that was a lot of unknowns at the 68. There was a kind of a quote and they gave a little, they didn't give the breakdown like this guy has given, like the breakdown of every line item. If you remember the other one, it was just one line and it had a lot of stuff in.
Yeah.
He actually looked through it because I said, this is what I have. And he's like, wow, like that's not even giving you enough room call systems. Like per room, he said he has quoted more. And also this is the face-to-face, voice-to-voice. The other one was a voice-to-voice, but like just a sound. This one actually has a tablet, so they actually can see, yep, my call was taken. It notifies them their call was taken, and they can actually see that in the tablet, or they can, so they're not like wondering if someone answered their call or emergency, or it shows it. So it's a better system. It's, you know, I think it's similar in cost and it's a better system. The support isn't just the support was what I was worried about. So I think we can work around that.
So the aerial is only one.
Yes. So since I had the other one approved and I thought, well, I mean, they're both the same price. Do I have to bring this back for approval? Because you had approved the other one, but so at the same time, this one is the door alarm system. Currently, our assisted living is not alarmed. It's a push the button, and that's what the other system would have still had. Basically, if someone didn't go out the door, it would have given them a warning, and it would have come over the radio that someone went out the door and that a door after a time that it was alarmed, but it would not tell them or stop a resident who had wandering issues or that elopement issues, I should say, from leaving if it was. This would stop our residents. So right now, if a resident has might be an elopement risk, we tend to relocate them to the nursing home. And sometimes it's part of the reason why they can no longer stay in the assisted living is because they're an elopement risk, where we could provide the care in the assisted living, but we just can't because it's a safety issue. This would take care of that. Why do we want to do that when we have the nursing home? Is because when we first went to 24-hour care for our assisted living, the reason why we went to that and having staff on staff 24 hours a day was because we were losing residents from our assisted living earlier than I think we would have needed to, based off of not being able to provide the needs 24 hours a day. Now we're 24 hours a day, but we're having residents that we have to move, and we really wouldn't have to, and we could keep them in the assisted living longer. It's just that on occasion, you know, they might be good for 7 days or 30 days, and then that one day they have they forget and they might go outside and they have an elopement risk. And for us in the wintertime in Minnesota, can't have that. So this alarm system,
Is that this extra one?
yeah. So that would put on all the doors, the ability to, if a resident wore what we have in the nursing home, a wristband, it would lock the doors as they walked up to it.
So it couldn't-
Actually, that would alarm them. We're not going to do the lock one, but it would set off an alarm and staff would get notified that resident went out the door. It would only be for, so it's not gonna be like anybody going out the door is gonna set off an alarm, and that's what the other system would have been. This is gonna be if there's an elopement risk. Yeah. So, better system. If you understand what I'm explaining, but, so yeah, that's just a two. So this one is an addition, which I did not have approved before for the door, and then the other one is to replace or exchange, the approval on the other one. So,
The exchanging one is actually a little cheaper than what was quoted.
yes.
That part of it.
Mhm.
Then this is an addition.
Yeah.
Which is per safety.
Yep. And like I said, I did not ever give the other one and say, hey, the council approved and it was a go-ahead. I didn't say that to them. Had additional questions for them on top of before I said that, hey, we're gonna go ahead with it.
Which they never got back to.
Yeah, and they never did. I said, okay, there's some questions, your door number, it doesn't match the numbers. I just want to make sure the numbers are correct. Didn't get back. And then there was a additional question beyond that. Oh, because this is the potential based off of your Cat 5 wiring. And I said, we have all the wiring in place. Can you verify that there will not be an additional cost? I never got any response on that. So with those two questions and emails answer, I didn't get any answer on them. I never actually said, go ahead, because I didn't want to until I was sure that what we needed to do. So,
Recommendation is to move forward with both of these.
both of these were secure.
Please.
So the vote is valid until today. Is there an issue with that?
I don't think there should be. I did say that we had a council meeting today. So it should be fine. In fact, I don't know, I'm surprised at that date. I actually, 115, that would have been last week. Yes, he knows that there's a council meeting today.
I would move approval of both of the quotes subject to approval by the Greenwood Board.
I suppose your next board meeting is until 26th.
Yeah. Yeah, the board means not until the 26th.
Which,
I mean, what I need is, I need to be able to give the builders, Justin and them a name. In order for them to get a quote on the 26th. They need somebody to contact to have a conversation with before the 26th. Well, before he needs to have numbers.
I can respect Mike's motion, but I think time is of the essence. And what Laura just presented to the council, I think, in her professional opinion, I would endorse it sitting on the Greenwood Connection board as well. And I don't know, what do you think, Mike? Do we give her the green light in light of the timeline that she's up against?
I have no issue with that. I just don't want Greenwood Board feeling like we are stepping in front of them. That was my only concern.
And
I totally understand.
yeah, and I think that, I mean, I'm pretty sure that I have brought up at the board meeting as well that I have had no response from the other company, right? I'm pretty sure that I've communicated that and been pretty open on that, that I haven't had any conversation. I mean, the only thing is that we didn't have the doors on that, but I mean, I also respect, Mike saying that, because I think the board would appreciate that, but I also know that they would understand we need to move.
Well, I think when Laura brings it up, she can express that we move forward because of timeline and not getting in front of their authority.
so Mike, you're making the motion.
I'll amend my motion to just approve of the both of the quotes.
I would second that motion.
Okay. Any more discussion? Bill, what's your vote?
Well,
Approval? And I approve, so there's a 4-0. Move forward.
Thank you. So, We had the financial statement for November. Feels like we're reporting really late. November, so we don't have financials done for January yet, but we did have a net loss for November, which was attributed to the workforce incentive grant. Was it the workforce incentive? Yes. Repayment amount, which was right around that 48,000. And also we had incentive payouts for November. So that was the reason why we had a net loss. We talked about budget. I have the budget too, and that has to be approved in a different line, a separate approval as well. But you know, I have the budget there and the budget information. We still don't have rates, actual rates. I had gotten a projected rate from the auditors and kind of went with that on the budget. Well, this is where you saw the 6 out of 34.
I knew I saw it somewhere.
So, and we had some write-offs for that and also I don't know if I should discuss that, Mike. I did actually reach out to the auditors as well to ask about that process. Sounds like Mike had said in the past, or he has seen where it would be written off, but then it would have to be declared worthless and no value by the city council as a accounts receivable line item. And the auditors said how we do it is fine with them. That's how they typically see it done. So they didn't think it had to be done differently unless that's our council and our cities. Unless that's how we need to have it done. So I don't know if, you know, Mike, if you wanted any more discussion on that or not, or anything, but that's just the answer to that how we typically handle a write-off is what they typically see done.
And that's from the auditor.
That was the auditor. Yeah. A typical process on it, they said is what they typically see. So, and then what it is that we budget a certain amount annually for write-offs amount. And then it's actually, when it's budgeted, it's an asset account with a credit balance. And then when we actually write it off, then we take the asset account, which has a debit balance account, and it's written against the credit balance of the account. So, so it's written off in the asset account. I don't know if that makes sense, but anyway, I explained our process to the auditors, and they have seen it and they're familiar with it, but they said they don't see it done any different way. So, we talked about the Filipino nurses, and I have no different update than that. Leading Age had offered to investigate it. I need to reach out to her, and hopefully I'll have that information by the board meeting to give them an update on it, to see what she found out about it. So. I have nothing else that I have.
Okay, so we can then move on the report and financial, and then you want the budget separate. Sure. Can I get a motion to approve the report from Laura Alf on the financials and monthly report as presented? Bill? I get a second?
Second.
Everyone? Any further discussion? Mike, I'll ask how you vote, then. I get your vote, Mike?
Approved.
Sure. And I approve, so 4-0, financials are approved. And then we have your budget.
Yeah, so the budget actually is in color. I believe it was, color. And then so it also includes a 5% raise increase for all staff. We had, so it was approved. There was the TMAs and the CNAs wage increases have not been approved completely by the federal government. The funding hasn't been approved. So that was supposed to be a $2 an hour increase for them, which would have put it at more about 11.5%. But so this budget has 11% increase in it. But the recommendation right now for wage increases, along with approving the budget, would be to do 5% straight across the board. And then, when that came across for the TMAs and CNAs that we had to increase theirs, we would increase theirs at that time. And then that would be, but otherwise just do 5% straight across and then increase theirs if that comes up. If it doesn't come up, we don't.
It's 11% built in.
It's already in there. The 11% is already in what you see in red, but it's just not, we wouldn't increase it right now. And then also, so that the wage increases would go to, January 4th, the start of the pay period, this pay period we're currently in, so.
Is your board seeing this?
Yes,
Okay.
so the board approved it, the board approved the budget with the 5% increase and an increase the CNAs and TMAs to 11% if needed was there. Was theirs.
We're thinking of that, I mean, you already noted it, but if 11% was budgeted in, there's a good possibility you'll come in under budget based on where the salaries are gonna land. Is that what you're thinking?
Yes, I mean, yeah. Unless, I'm not sure I understand what you're saying. So I do have the 11% built in. But if they never get approved, it would just be at the 5%. Yes, so then should be under budget.
But if the state.
Well, if I'm saying the whole, if you have 11% built in for all the wage increase, but the majority of them are at 5% or 6%, there's a lot of fluff built in there for any unknowns.
So I have the TMAs and CNAs wages at 11% increase in the budget. And the rest of the wages at 5% increase in the budget.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So just this TMAs and CNAs, and if they don't, and that's still even at that as a budget in the budget, still had a bottom line. There still is a positive bottom line without that. So
That's a state or federal mandate, correct? The 11%.
yeah, well, it was a $2, which comes out to be about 11%. So if we don't have to increase them $2 an hour, then we wouldn't be doing that. So it's only if we have to increase them.
I'd be looking for a motion to approve the budget as presented.
So moved.
Get a second?
Second.
Yep. Any more discussion? All right. Mike, how do you vote? And I approve. There you go, your budget's approved.
Thank you. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Laura. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be moving into closed session, so I'm going to ask you all to leave.
Yes, we'll enter in closed session pursuant to Minnesota statute 13D.05 subdivision 3C to discuss sale of city-owned real property, including consideration of pricing, negotiation strategy, and potential terms of sale. Session will be closed to protect the city's bargaining position.
And for our viewers, we're going to go off stream. There will be a statement made post discussion that will reflect in the minutes. I thank you all for attending tonight, and adjournment will also happen off camera as well. And thank you very much. And we will see you guys at our next meeting.